Just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
So what did Kamala Harris honestly have to do after the ellipse, after the big speech? Was she talking about that? Was she getting around? Nope. She's asked about Joe Biden now referring to half of the American people as garbage in reference to trying to point out the comedian who was talking about it in jest. And of course, comedians are offensive by nature. If you don't like comedy, lots of people don't because of that, but free country, First Amendment. I don't know if I'd always pick comedians to kick off my political rallies, but people are doing that more and more these days, thinking that we're adults enough to know that those are, again, not nasty and directed, and they're not serious comments at all. But this is what Harris had to end up doing. So at first they were using it as a way to go after Trump. He's Hitler, he's Nazi, fascist, and now they're calling peace people or islands, however you want to say it, as garbage. And then, in fact, now they have referred to the American people as garbage, so Harris had to put this out.
Biden took his comment last night about garbage.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear. I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
All right. Here's the truth. He didn't clarify anything. I mean, I know the tweet goes from him and the White House puts the apostrophe, but it took them, they only reacted after Logan, the media reacted.
Right.
And so they didn't even catch it as a problem until the media started running with it, and they said, uh-oh, and then everybody had to condemn Joe Biden yesterday. And then by the time it got to Harris this morning, I guess, she was able to say, see, it was corrected. He didn't really mean that, and try to move on. But it doesn't matter because it's Biden Harris. That's who we're talking about here. That's her boss still. Yeah. And that's how she got to the position she's in. So she didn't want to have to directly condemn him, and she didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's what happens when a story.
She's letting him get away with that statement, which is just made up by his staff.
Yeah, and when a story gets flipped like this, obviously the damage control is going to kick in, because what it's really going to do is just end the entire big moment that they had, the big gaffe, if you will, if you even want to call it that, that they felt like was from that rally. That was the one moment. By the way, if you go watch the whole bit from Tony Hinchcliffe, I mean, he hits everybody pretty hard.
That's what comedians do.
So what I'm saying is, like, they isolated that one spot.
You will hear the things that you don't like.
You will be offended by,
right.
And that's okay. That's part of the art form. But they took that one bit and they were going to run with it. I believe they were going to run with it for weeks.
Yeah.
Or for a week. We were going to run for a week. It was going to be part of this. And now that part not only has been taken away from them, it has been so distorted to where now you're calling even a bigger group. It's like, okay, you called them garbage, they called them garbage. All right, now it almost neutralizes any sort of good or bad publicity coming out of this, unfortunate moment a week before the election.
This is why people are getting shot and why they're taking shots at Donald Trump. And someone was killed at a Donald Trump rally. We take away from the fact that they always want to talk about January 6th and this individual's there. By the way, again, a protester shot by law enforcement, and issues about whether or not that shot should have been taken the way it was. But it's only at Trump rally where we've have someone else been killed. All because, and the people who are taking these actions think for their own reasons, these are something I should be doing. This is protecting the country. So you don't have to be that demented. It doesn't take that demented of a person to think I should be the hero who removes this person, so that there's no question this enemy of democracy, this Hitler, part 2, this fascist can't become president because they won't be around anymore. And then a few weeks later, after someone was killed at a rally, a few weeks later, takes about 15 minutes to play a golf hole. On the next golf hole was another person who thought, and it was very politically active, thought they should remove this problem from the country so that it wasn't up to even voters.
Yeah,
and that's the rhetoric. And then you add garbage to that. That is like Hitler. I don't like saying that about much, but if you actually start demonizing people, and then you're dehumanizing people.
We have a surprise guest on. We have soon-to-be Senator Kari Lake out of Arizona, calling the candidate for the Senate in Arizona. calling with Rick Grinnell. And Jordan, I just want to let you know we've got her on the phone.
Yeah, Kari, it is great to talk to you. I want to ask you this first because we know Arizona is going to be so important for the presidential election, but we also know that it's great to win presidential races, but if you don't have a Senate which is friendly and working with a president, the president's whole policies and issues can be slowed down entirely. Their nominees, the people to try to fill the right roles that you've got to fill in government. So it is just as important that if we elect Donald Trump, we also elect people who are going to be working with him like you. But tell us, what's it like on the campaign right now in Arizona?
Well, thank you for having me, Jordan. And you're right about what you just said. We saw that in the first term. We don't want people stabbing President Trump in the back. We want people working with him to get this America First agenda moving quickly through, because we need a quick turnaround. We've got so many problems right now that we need to be addressing immediately. And he needs allies in the Senate. And I'm probably one of his best allies in the whole country. I believe in him, and I believe in the America First movement. And I saw what it did for our state under President Trump in his first term. And I know this go around, we can do even better things. The campaign trail is going great. Our polling looks wonderful. The people of Arizona are hearing and heeding the warning that we got to get out and vote early. And we're seeing record numbers of people showing up to vote early. I believe I heard yesterday we have 125,000 more votes already banked from Republicans than the Democrats have. And so this is an excellent sign. And of course, Election Day is on the 5th, so we still have more days of early voting. President Trump is incredibly popular in Arizona, and we believe we're going to see those President Trump, Kari Lake, and people are going to vote Republican all the way down the ticket. You know, we're right here on the front lines. We are at ground zero for a wide open border. We're at ground zero for the fentanyl crisis, which is a weapon of mass destruction, killing a young generation. And we're at ground zero when it comes to the economic woes that were created by Kamala Harris and rubber stamped by my opponent, Ruben Gallego, who is a radical, far left Democrat. So I think we have a lot going for us. We've got the solutions, and the people are activated and ready to vote.
Yeah, I mean, talk to people too about the border, because I know it's now impacts every state, everywhere you are. It doesn't matter if you're a border state or not, or close to the border, because of what you mentioned, fentanyl, the drugs, they're killing people. It is the number one killer of, I think 18 to 39-year-olds, so young people in America. And it doesn't matter if you're in Arizona or somewhere, but you then have to be like the hotbed. I mean, so if you're dealing with those cartels that are also utilizing that brings in even more violence. I mean, do you think it's resonating enough with folks in Arizona that they can't just go along with whatever the left is pushing, that maybe we should do a little more of this, but not really taking it seriously and actually doing everything we can to secure our country? That means the citizens of Arizona as well, from whether it's criminal illegal aliens or kids who are being trafficked from other countries. I mean, all these horrible issues. And it feels like it's just us on the right. And maybe, hopefully, voters, Kari, have figured it out this time that we will actually get things done and we care.
The policy we have right now is showing no compassion to human beings at all. I mean, think about it. Wide open border. Children are being sex trafficked across our border. 325,000 of them have gone missing. I, as a mother, I can barely sleep at night thinking about that and thinking about where those kids may be. And then women are being raped as they come across. Humans are being trafficked across the border, and many of them are forced to work. They're almost indentured servants. They have to work to pay off the cartel and their smuggler who got them across the border. And it certainly is not compassionate toward the American citizen who's struggling right now. We're watching as when you have millions of people pour across the border, they depress the wages of hardworking, working class and middle class Americans. And then, we talked a little bit about the fentanyl. Most of the fentanyl is coming across Arizona, and that is making it to all 50 states, and it's just creating carnage in its path, because so many people, when you lose a 16-year-old son or a 20-year-old daughter to fentanyl poisoning, that creates a hole in your life, in your heart, that just never heals. And this is happening to hundreds of thousands of families around the country. And this is all because they chose to open up the border. President Trump had delivered us the most secure border we'd ever had in Arizona. I lived here for 30 years. It had never been secure until President Trump. And on day one, minute one, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, with the help of my opponent, Ruben Gallego, came in and tore that border wide open and created this problem. I was just at the Yuma border a few days ago in an area where Border Patrol told me about 75 to 100 people are pouring across each night. The federal government, our government, has put up a sign in Spanish, and basically it says, we know you're here illegally, but take your cell phone and this QR code. This QR code will actually help you get settled, will help you get housing, job permit, everything you need to get settled. It's like the Expedia for people here illegally, and we're paying for that. And this is why President Trump, and I agree, we need to send these people back to their loved ones, back to their homeland in order to save our homeland.
Kari, for people, again, you can go to your website. If you're in Arizona, get involved. Donating is important right now, folks. And, of course, if you're out of the state, you can donate and help. If you're in state, you can volunteer. So go get with the campaign. Get on the ground. Kari's working hard. And, again, this is going to be key. You don't just take the White House. You want the Senate, too. You want the House.